America's CEO, the billionaire appears to be further cementing his involvement in U.S. politics. According to Forbes, the Trump megadonor incorporated two companies on the down low earlier this month. The mysterious corporation, United States of America, Inc., was established in his family's office address in Texas, and though the precise plan for the company remains unclear, its creation follows Donald Trump's claim that Musk will lead a proposed government efficiency commission.
So pair the tens of millions Musk has already poured into this election with his personal vision for America, and it's not hard to imagine why he incorporated the mysterious entities. Here to discuss further is writer and filmmaker Sam Butler. Welcome, Sam.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, glad you could join us. So look, this is in some ways a rather complicated story, and I just want to boil it down so our audience really understands. What do you suspect might be going on here in simple terms?
I think that this is clearly part of a plan to privatize parts of America. This is going on in Argentina right now, and both Elon Musk and another associate from Silicon Valley, Peter Thiel, have praised the libertarian leader of Argentina, Javier Milei, as enacting a model that is relevant for the entire globe, including the United States. So I think at the end of the day, Elon Musk is an enormous federal contractor with many companies, and it's moving towards a system where more and more of the services that we rely on in everyday life in America are run by corporations, including potentially United States of America, Inc.
Do you think that this corporation is perhaps connected to the planned Government Efficiency Commission? Will they maybe be in the business of identifying redundant government employees, trying to, as you said, privatize some of the operations? And I'm curious if that is the goal of it, why would he incorporate rather than creating a nonprofit entity?
That's an interesting question, and I don't want to speculate or get into the exact machinations that may be in play here. As the article in Drop Site notes, there could be several explanations, including just another holding company to shield activities from corporate oversight, as we often see. I think that the fundamental components at play here are a shift towards taking more government contracts and more privatization of public wealth in that respect. And the ways that can happen are myriad, including, as you said, through the Department of Government Efficiency. And this notion that essentially, we'd be better off in a system where companies working hand in hand very closely with the state are administering much of our economy, which ironically is very much the system they have in China. It's this system of sort of state-run capitalism that many of these more libertarian or right-wing people seem to recoil against. But in actuality, kind of China is the model that pioneered this. And in many senses, the corporations that want a really outsized influence in the government and with those contracts in America are trying to do the same thing.
So do you think that Elon Musk and former President Trump do have a specific aim in mind? Do you think there's an objective that they're trying to achieve here, even if it is a covert objective?
Well, I think there was great reporting from the New York Times at the beginning of last week, which was talking about Elon Musk's role in a potential second Trump administration would have him being able to regulate the regulators that are supposed to be in charge of his companies and who are supposed to be basically saying, we need any contracts with the United States to be working in the public interest. And I think here Lina Khan and Lina Khan's role with the FCC comes into play, being an excellent example of how impactful good regulators can be for our daily lives as Americans, as consumers, as workers. And, the more simple and unglamorous speculation is basically that Elon Musk would like a role in the second Trump administration to be able to eliminate that regulatory oversight and have more wherewithal to, do what he wishes, including one example cited is taking rural broadband subsidies, $1 billion in subsidies for his company, and then instead of implementing that in rural places, actually putting it in places like airports, right, and things that are completely unrelated to the taxpayer expenditure there. So And then we could go from here into speculation about deeper machinations. I think the really clear point is we're seeing this shift towards a more corporate vision of America, as we see in special economic zones already today in the United States, but most prominently in Asia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, led by China. And in some of these places, like Hong Kong, some of these people like Peter Thiel will often point to this as the example. You have a state where corporations literally do the voting for the elected representatives, where, the residents of the nation, the workers, they only get to vote for 22% of their legislature. The rest of the votes literally belong to corporations and special interest groups. And when it comes to their chief executive, only the most powerful and wealthiest 0.02% of the nation or of the state or the zone of Hong Kong actually gets a vote. And so I think this is more of the direction we can say that, Elon Musk, Trump, J.D. Vance, who was backed by Peter Thiel and many of these Silicon Valley elites, this is the direction they would like to see things go.
So my one pushback would be that we have seen some benefits to privatization of various government services and also the ineptitude of government, right? I mean, the Biden administration had this EV charger program that spent billions of dollars to basically put up a dozen EV chargers. They have the rural connectivity program for rural Americans to get access to internet, which apparently hasn't connected anybody. So I guess the question would be, are there not trade-offs, right, where some things are better managed by private companies with government oversight as opposed to keeping those things housed within a bureaucracy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Amber. And we do see examples of this. And there's, these types of special corporate economic zones have been implemented in different ways all across the world. And, in some cases, it's sort of more putting the control or the subsidies towards the public interest in kind of a more grounded way. As an example, some communities or some municipalities which subsidize land or property acquisition to rehabilitate vacant buildings. And in particular, they'll make it available to, future homeowners in that municipality or community land trusts for a very low price. We could say this is a similar machination, but I think it's more clearly and logically in the public interest. So there's a lot of things that we can do economically. And I think the question at the end of the day with one of these policies is this taking the public wealth that we already have? Is this taking the taxpayer money? And is this reinvesting it to build more public wealth? Or is it actually sort of more of a corrupt handoff to corporations, investors, private interests? And, one really clear way we can see this playing out is actually in California. And the news that California is going to bail out the very wealthy homeowners who purchased homes and properties that are kind of going into the sea right now because of climate change. These people certainly knew the risks, right? These are very, very wealthy people in the first place. But now what California is doing is they are directly taking taxpayer and worker money to buy out those failing houses and properties and saving those wealthy homeowners. So I think that is an example of not taking our public wealth and putting it towards the public interest. It's taking our public wealth and putting it towards private interests. And for any one of these cases, there could be situations where non-governmental entities do manage things better than the government or the bureaucracy itself. And it all comes down to what is the intent of the program and if it really is in the public interest.
Mm-hmm. Sam Butler, great conversation. A lot of big questions that we could spend more time on, but we don't have that time right now. Thanks for joining us on Rising.
Thank you so much.